bit on where we are with our intel at this point. Um, we do the intel toward the end of the call, and I hope Bruce doesn't want to go too long tonight. I don't think I do. I think I'm going to try to keep it short, believe it or not. But I'll tell you guys, it's strange to have come all this way and still need to do one more call, possibly, meaning tonight. I don't intend to do another call for a month or so. Now, if we don't get this before Thursday's call, then I'll be here Thursday night. But overall, we are pretty much seeing everything coming to completion. Let's start right now with Iraq, because the whole thing seems to always come back to Iraq. Everything seems to come back to, well, has Iraq done everything that they needed to do? And the answer is basically yes, with one exception. We're looking for the budget, this addendum to the budget for 2018, 2019, and 2020, that addendum which was passed, okay, we're looking for that to show up in the Gazette. Now, with it showing up in the Gazette, we're also believing that the rate for the Iraqi dinar should show up in the Gazette as well. And my understanding is that the Gazette, the printed version of the Gazette, which is Iraq's official government newspaper, that paper is printed and it's deliverable on Wednesdays and Saturdays. Those are the 2 days that it comes out in Iraq, Wednesday and Saturday. Now, my understanding is that tomorrow's version of the Gazette has been printed and is ready to go. And we believe it includes the information about the new addendum to the budget, and in so doing, it should have the new rate for the Iraqi dinar in that budget. So, what am I saying? I'm saying that if everything else goes according to plan, we should be there very shortly. Now, I always use the word should, and we expect, and all this. I cannot call it, because you know how things happen. Guys, some people had thought that we were going to get this last night, or overnight. And, I had a lot of things pointing toward that, but it just wasn't to be. We know that AIIB and HSBC have given the go-ahead to the Treasury to release this, and we're waiting for that to occur. Does the U.S. Treasury need for Iraq's budget to come out in the Gazette before this is released? Maybe so. That could be a situation where the Gazette comes out somewhere around 1 a.m. in the morning, Eastern time. I know that the Iraqi people that we have as contact talk about the Gazette being deliverable and read at around 8 a.m. Iraq time, around 8. Well, do the time change difference and see what time that is on the East Coast or on the West Coast. Now, I'm not saying that's exactly when it's going to go, or it could go, but I think it could be a good indicator that it should be happening, hopefully before the end of the week. We've heard that this is, I don't want to say this is the week, but we've heard that we should be there by Friday, and maybe we're there beforehand. All right, let's go from Iraq now. Let's come over and talk about our redemption centers. You guys know that the redemption centers, the off-site redemption centers, are going to be used to exchange the ZIM as well as the other currencies. But we also know HSBC is over all the redemption centers. We had 7,420 plus in North America. There may be more new redemption centers that have been added. That figure's at least 2 or 3 weeks old. So what I'm saying is those redemption centers are, after 8 p.m. tonight Pacific time, 100% staffed and ready to go. They're on red hot alert, which means they have been told to be ready at a moment's notice. Now, that's pretty good. That means you're ready to go. You're ready to go, and they are. The Tier 1 and Tier 2 banks are supposed to be about 95% staffed for exchanges. And the Tier 3, there are some select Tier 3 banks that will be doing exchanges, and there's probably about 80% of those that are ready to go, but those will all be ready to go by Thursday. Now, let me just say this. The thing that is meaningful about the redemption centers for us is the redemption centers and HSBC banks are the locations that will be redeeming our ZIM bonds. Okay? So you know, the other Tier 1 and Tier 2 banks will not be in that position. They will not be receiving the ZIM. They will not be redeeming the ZIM from what we understand. It is coming down to where HSBC and the HSBC redemption centers, which they're all under the auspices of HSBC now, that's really where we're going for the redemptions. Now, if you didn't have ZIM and you called the 800 number and you gave them your other currencies because you didn't have ZIM, they might very well send you to another Tier 1 or Tier 2 bank to do those exchanges. Okay? So that could be the case if you're not a ZIM holder. But obviously ZIM holders are going to be sent to redemption centers. And the more you know that the ZIM is an actual bond and not just a currency, but rather a bond, you let them know that you know it's a gold-backed bond, and you should be able to negotiate a privately negotiable rate at higher than screen rates. My understanding is that screen rates, anything above screen rates on all the currencies, would quite possibly require an NDA that was, which the basic NDA is 1 3/4 pages long. 1 3/4. And then obviously you can go as long as a 4-page NDA, but that would be based upon using what they call a leveraged payout. We used to use the term structured payout, but really the preferable term now is leveraged payout. And you can set that up, I understand now, more recently, for up to 50 years. So the main thing that they want to know is the longevity of your projects and the hireability of people for new jobs, and your design, whether it involves infrastructure spending, creation of jobs, and longevity. Those are the 3 main things. Putting people to work, creating opportunities. Our particular project, Rebuild America, that #1 flagship project for the big call, will involve a mentorship program and apprenticeship program. And I talked to you guys last couple of calls about how I envision those to take place. A lot of what we have to do is still on the drawing board. It's something that we're going to get together on and work with leaders on and create based on the ideas that I have and that Bob has and that Sue has. We're going to create this, and that Kent has as well. And we're going to create this. So that's going to take us some time to do, but I think we'll get started on it pretty quickly. And that's why one reason we need to take about a month off. Hopefully after tonight's call, we get a full month, and then we can let you guys know when our next call is going to be and how we're going to do that on a new website with a new podcast scenario, online, blah, 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 all that good technology. We'll catch up to the 21st century. Okay? So I want everybody to be aware of that. In terms of rates, we hear the rates are just super high. And we know that, Iraq, for example, is looking to receive a multi-billion dinar loan from the IMF, and we believe everything is still planned for that to go through, but Iraq needs to go ahead and put out their rate. That's the last thing they really need to do is put that out, let it be known internationally. Okay, and that's what we're looking for, and that should happen in the Gazette tomorrow. That's what we're expecting. Okay, so we're thinking ahead, we're putting our faith out there, we're walking by faith, not by sight. This is what we understand is the case. So when it comes to your redemption, your exchanges, this is something that you can expect to do in approximately an hour, and also be thinking in terms of a second appointment with wealth management from Wells or from HSBC or from Mabit Downing. A second or third appointment, of course, would come after the exchange takes place. And that would not occur at the redemption center, but at those private offices for those individuals. But you should be able to get a business card and set those appointments up at your initial exchange appointment. Okay, so I just want you guys to know that, we've gone a lot longer on these calls than we ever thought we would have to. But it's exciting. We're at a very exciting time. Obviously, the vote that went through today in the Senate was very positive, and I think it portends well for us moving forward. And I think maybe, just maybe, that vote, that procedural vote, needed to be done, needed to be handled before we went completely all the way with the RV. Anything else regarding NESARA, regarding the TDAs? Our thinking is that could happen anytime from about 10 days after the start of our exchanges, all the way up to the so-called beginning or first day of NESARA, as far as the TDAs. I've heard up to, starting as little as 10 days after we go, to all the way up to the first day of NESARA. So I would say be patient on those TDAs and just let the information come out. Don't rush to try to transact that, because a lot of those that have already taken place have clawed back, and you don't want to be in that situation. We're not going to get into depth on that, but I just wanted you guys to be aware of that. As far as anything else goes, I think we're just looking forward to getting the 800 number. I expect to receive it. I expect to be able to put it out on the bigcall.net website, and I also expect that I will be allowed to give it to a couple of other locations online. I'm not sure about the transmission of the number, whether we're going to be allowed to email it or text it or anything like that. So don't expect an email from the Big Call with that number. Okay? What you want to do is just check periodically to see if the 800 number has been posted on the landing page of the bigcall.net website. So we will be diligent about that, regardless of what time it comes into me. We will take that and put it out as directed, as directed. And I just want you to know, I do consider it an honor to be one who is supposed to receive that toll-free number for everybody to go and be able to get started. What's happened so far is we know the paymasters' accounts have been made liquid. Their accounts are ready to go. We also know that all the paymasters have received a certificate of authority to disperse funds to their members. But that authority to disperse will come, I believe, with like the dropping of the starting flag on the Indy 500. It'll come simultaneously, I hope, I believe, with the release of the toll-free number to me so that we can set appointments almost immediately while other people are beginning to be paid out. SKRs to be made liquid, to make accounts that have been frozen with pending status or status on hold to be released. I look for that to happen almost simultaneously with our release for Tier 4. And I do believe the plan is, at least it has been, for the Tier 5, if you want to use that number, which is the John Q. public, those not paying attention, not seeing or finding the 800 number that you guys will find, those people will theoretically start pretty close to the 1st of August, is my understanding. So we'll see how that shakes out. Okay? I'm not going to hold my breath for announcements yet, even on our own gold standard that we're returning to. Don't know when we're going to see that announcement. It doesn't really matter for us. We believe the USN was already activated and is, let's say, being traded or is in a position of replacement to the USD, the dollar, the fiat dollar. The gold-backed USN, my understanding is in place, and has been activated and released to that extent by the Treasury. So, with that being said, I think we can just keep the faith and keep pressing into God and then believing for this blessing to come through in short order. And I think everybody has enough information to move forward to know how to respond when they call, to get the 800 number out and to use it and to be able to make an appointment to go in to exchange. My understanding is when the numbers come out, that the redemption centers are basically, we know they're already ready to go now. So I think they're on red hot, high alert to go at any moment, at a moment's notice. So I don't think there'll be a lag time between the time you get the number to call for your appointment and your appointment could take place as early as 30 or 40 minutes after you call. I mean, it may be that quick. All right? I hope that's what I've been informed, so we'll see. But guys, there's not a whole lot else really that I know to bring tonight to you in the way of intel. I really think when you're at the end, you're at the end. And you know what I'm looking for. I'm looking to see evidence of the new budget for Iraq, meaning the addendum for 2018, 19, and 20, to be in the Gazette tomorrow. You know? And then with the time difference, you know what time that's going to be tonight. So let's just stay positive for that, believe for that. You know we're going to work with not only the Rebuild America program, trying to get at least 5,000 people in the big hall to want to adopt a city or a town or a community near them, and then be able to rebuild America with us starting with housing and infrastructure and new builds like clinics and school auditoriums and just whatever, community centers, community gardens, a lot of things that we've got planned. We really have a lot planned. Not only that, we're going to work with our veterans. Don't forget, the Veterans Retreat Network will be up and running. It probably will not involve your direct participation as much as we had planned in the last 2 or 3 years, but it will involve your participation in terms of equine therapy for our veterans. I know many of you want to work with the horses and with veterans in that. I'm going to need that. And I also want some puppy dog therapy too for the vets to help them with their PTSD as well. So we want to be working with some dogs too that'll be trained for that purpose as well. And we want to try to offer that really at all of our veterans retreats throughout the country. So we'll be back in touch with you on that and exactly how we would like for you to help us participate in that, okay? Because there's a lot to this and there's a lot to do, and we're going to get started right away. But I'm going to be looking for leaders all over the country, especially regionally, that can help us with Rebuild America and also to some extent with the Veterans Retreat Network. Okay? So we'll just see where all that goes. I'm excited about getting started, and I know you guys are too. You know, we've been at this for a long time. I've been at this 13 years, 6 years on the big call, and a year before that on another call. So I'm ready. I'm ready for it to start, ready for it to go, and I know you guys are too. Well, let's do this. Let me go ahead, if you will, and thank everybody for listening in from all over the globe, everywhere in Big Call Universe. Thank you for tuning in, and thank you for being so faithful over this